Welcome to Aphra's Artifacts, where we do some archaeology of our own and dig into the queer side of Star Wars. I'm your host, Alyssa Wong, and it's so great to have you here. Well, today we're talking about Dr. Aphra number 20, Eternity. So, the next issue in the Dr. Aphra 2020 ongoing series. This issue was, of course, written by Alyssa Wong, and was illustrated by Minkyu Jung and Rachelle Rosenberg. And, oh my goodness, it was crazy. Like, this was a really good issue. It was very simple. It was very straightforward. It didn't go into multiple storylines. It wasn't confusing. It was just very cut and dry. But what happens at the end... Oh no, like, I really hope Aphra can get out of this one, because it doesn't look good at all. I mean, she's been in similar situations before, but this really scares me. So, no overt queer moments in this issue, but we have queer characters. So, let's talk about some Dr. Aphra. We begin in the past, in a lecture hall, with Sava Eglantine Noss, who we crossed paths with in the last issue. Sava Noss is the chair of occult archaeological studies at the University of Barleth. She researches ascendant tech, and the University of Barleth, as we discovered last issue, is built atop the ruins of the Ascendant's research facilities. Now remember, the Ascendants use technology to replicate the dark side of the Force. And because of that, they flourished during the Sith's reign. Oh, I want to know so much more about that time period. So bad. They keep dropping hints about it in different media, but they never really dig into it and show us what the heck happened during the reign of the Sith. I want that so bad. Hopefully they'll give us that story soon. So, Sava Noss assigns her students to translate the Ascendant's mantra from its original Urkitat into Galactic Basic. But instead of a literal translation, she wants intent and the poeticism of the language to be the focus. And we know from last issue that Ko Von Ferris, did a translation that the Sava liked very much. So we move on to the present, and we have Ko Von Ferris, who is non-binary, and Sava Noss standing atop a dais with 3 sacrificial basins and like red liquid everywhere, and a altar thing with... it's real spooky looking, and it's in this like giant cave area. So the dais and all of that is to activate the Spark Eternal. So they are, Ko Von Ferris and Sava Noss, are preparing the Spark Eternal site underneath the University of Barleth for activation. So the whole point of the Spark Eternal is to give you eternal life, to get rid of the specter of death. And as we see at the end of the comic, though, it doesn't quite do what you would expect. So Sava Noss admits that she's known about the Spark Eternal's location for decades, as she excavated it in secret, and then it took her another decade to open the sanctum door. So this has been her life's work. She has been focused wholly on discovering what is really going on with the Ascendant and their tech. So then Sava Noss reveals that to activate the Spark Eternal, they need 3 to find, according to the mantra, and that there are 3 sacrificial basins. While pointing her blaster, Sava Noss calls out Aphra, who's in the shadows hiding away, as a willing third. But at the moment when I read this, I wasn't quite sure what all that meant. So there are 3 sacrificial basins. Aphra was a willing third. Does that mean Aphra's the one to be sacrificed? Are they all sacrificed? What exactly is being meant by all this? Well, it explains it in just a second. So then Aphra retorts when Savanos calls her out, Aphra retorts with, "You've always been a jealous, power-hungry old fart with flaky Leku." So Aphra's in a dangerous situation, and as usual, she uses humor to try to smooth out her anxieties. And then she tries to use an ascendant super magnet that she stole from Ko a while back to zoom Ko to one of the pillars. But since Aphra has a need, as usual, to narrate what she's doing, Ko has the chance to act first, and Ko zooms Aphra to them. So, they're face to face now, and Aphra still has a blaster, and Ko still has the super magnets, and they end up in a blaster to magnet battle. Instead of hand-to-hand combat, it's blaster to magnet combat. And this results in Aphra laying injured on the ground next to the sacrificial basins. Looking bad. So, kind of a fun point. Aphra, and we learn later that this is just a distraction, but she's still being super honest with herself and those around her. So Aphra is being incredibly honest and self-deprecating as she says, "I show up, I cause problems, and I leave everything worse than I found it. It's what I'm best at." But as I said, that's all a distraction. The argument that ensues from her saying this is all part of the distraction. And the distraction is keeping Ko's and Savanos's eyes away from away from Sana, actually setting up some of the super magnets in a formation that will attract Ko to it. So, Sana turns on the magnets, and Ko zooms towards them and is, like, attached to them and can't move. And Savanos is still on the dais and still kind of hanging back a little bit, but observing everything that's going on. And then we get an explanation of what was meant by sacrifices. So apparently they don't need full body sacrifices, but just a little bit of blood from 3 different people. So Aphra dripped some blood in after Ko punched her with her own blaster using the magnets. And Ko dripped some blood in after Aphra punched them in the face. And Savanos is the only one who purposefully cut her hand with a knife to drip her blue blood, apparently Twi'leks have blue blood, into one of the basins. So now that there is blood from 3 different people in the sacrificial basins, everything activates. There is now a glowing, sparking ball of energy and light on top of the altar. And of course, Aphra being Aphra, she reaches into that light and it attacks her. Like, I'm talking, this thing shoots out at her, shoots a tendril of light through her torso, and leaves a ragged hole in her back. And Aphra is dead. Yeah. I really hope this is not similar to what happened in the TV show Angel, where Fred got infected by an ancient demon goddess, Illyria, and for the rest of the show, it was Illyria. It was not Fred. There was no more Fred. I really hope that this is not the same thing. And the reason why it's so similar is because not only does it kill her, but it leaves behind... So, okay, let me back up. So, the spark enters the hole in her torso, and it kind of fills it up, and at the same time that's happening, these bone tendrils are encapsulating her, just like wrapping around her body and creating a kind of exoskeleton. So she's got this like swirly exoskeleton in the front, a ridge of spines in the back, and her eyes are glowing red, and she's got the spark in the hole in her body, And she says, I am eternity. And I'm like, what? Like, what is happening? So it's very similar to the Fred Illyria thing. And I really hope Aphra is not going to be eternity from here on out. It's actually really spooky because Sana leans in and says, you're not Aphra. Followed by Aphra saying, or the entity inside of Aphra saying, I am eternity. So all I've got to say in response to that, besides the fact that I really hope it's not Aphra being left like that for the rest of her time in Star Wars, is dun dun dun. So things are looking bad. Like real bad. Well, I'd love to know your thoughts on this issue. Please comment down below on what you think about what has happened, what you speculate is going to occur from here on out with Aphra being taken over by eternity. And remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at AlyamMorgain, and peruse my blog of the Star Wars Review.blogspot.com. May the Force be with you.